funny.
No, just stay on them.
That's my sweetie.
Okay, so let's start with introductions. Morales and Shona, why don't you guys start with, and we'll just go down to the left here.
Doing the opposite.
Yes.
I'm Sergeant Morales Kilianis. I'm Squire to Sir Silverthorn. I've been in the SCA for about 10 years and been an officer for 9 of those 10 years. I just stepped down from being Seneschal Gwentarian, and I've marshaled at pretty much every event the Barony's had sporadically for the last, 7 years.
Hi, I am the Honorable Lady Shona Ingen Gregor. I just recently stepped down as the Kingdom Chatelaine. I am now currently the Baronial Signet for the Barony of Brendoken. Previous to that, I was the North Oaken Regional Chatelaine. I also held the Chatelaine office for the Shire of Eastwatch when it was active. While with Eastwatch, I also was their chronicler and Deputy Kingdom Minister of Arts and Sciences. Or, excuse me, no. Just Deputy Minister of Arts and Sciences, there we go. I have, been event steward many times. I've been co-event steward. My thing is helping and helping others find their way. I have received several awards, several augmentations. My passion is newcomers, and my first passion is newcomers, my second passion is sewing, and my third passion is scrolls.
All right, I am Baroness Katrina Klein. Most of you know me as Wolverine. I've been in the SCA since 2007. I started down at Turnowid. I found fighting, and that's what I like to do. I came up here for college at Kent State, and so I've been in Gwentarian since basically summer of '07, with a couple of going back down for summer vacation. Gwentarian has been my home for about 15 or so years. I've been at Pursuivant, I've been at Seneschal. I am currently currently the Brendoken Earl Marshal, Knights Marshal, and commanding the armored troops this year. As I said, I enjoy the fighting, enjoy getting people into fighting, getting people trained in fighting, but I also try to do a lot of service, because that's what makes things run. So, that's what I do.
Hello, I am the Honorable Lord Donald Bain of Blackmarsh. I've been in the Society since 1997, and the last 18, 19 of which is right here in Brendoken. I've had the privilege of living in all 4 of the baronies east of North Oaken, and I actually started out in Red Spears during my college days, but this has always been my home. This has always been the place that I've always felt most comfortable and most at home. This year marks the first year here in a decade where I haven't held a baronial office, so of course I'm going for the big one. My big passions in society are bardic arts, heraldry, and beating the East at war. I kind of got that canceled out, but I still do love to fight rapier regardless. I want to do this because I've been a loyal servant of Brendoken for at least 15 years now, and I look at this taking this seat as possibly being the ultimate form of service that I can provide for the Baron.
I'm Sir Silverthorn of Drakenmore. I'm a knight and a pelican. On a local level, I've served as a baronial marshal for Cleflands and Gwentarian. Regionally, I was a regional commander for the North Oaken Battle Unit. On the battlefield, I was the sergeant major who deployed the entire army, both east and middle, for 1 year. That was kind of cool. On a larger scale, I've been a deputy mayor for Penzic doing battlefield activities for 2 years. Higher to that, I have served multiple reigns, and I was Queen's Champion for Eichenruna 1. I would like a chance to try to lead the barony and see how we can make things more fun in the future. We're having a good time now, and I think we need to do more of that. And this is my lady Chuck.
I am Chison Moratugan. I am a court baroness of Eichenruna. I am a pelican. I am, you can read the awards on the pages we put up. I've been in the SCA for 42 years now, and I moved from the east to here, to Guntarian, and I have been an officer in middle marches, in a couple of different ANS things. It used to be MOA and MOS, and I was a local and a regional for Guntarian. I was the first chronicler of Guntarian way back when. I've been mayor of Penzic. I worked for Penzic staff for over 23 years in some form of higher deputy mayor position, and I've been a volunteer every Penzic I've been to. I like things to work well, so I like to get behind the scenes and make them work. That's my passion. I do calligraphy, I do illumination, I do some sewing, I do embroidery. I had a hell of a lot of time, a lot of fun embroidering the gold dragons on Nick and Serena's garb when they were king and queen. That's, you know, that kind of really cool give to the kingdom stuff is that gives me a kick. I'd like to be Baroness because he'd like to be Baron, and I'd like to do whatever he does. He followed me all over Penzic. I can follow him all over the Barony.
I am Lord Algar Ironhand. I am also a squire to Sir Silverthorn. I was the first recipient of the Golden Shield in the Barony of Brendoken. I've got a purple fret, a purple Freddy. I've even got the Baron Star. I ran the Art in the Park demo in Kent for almost 10 years. I'm also the regional commander for the Northern Oaken Army Combat Archery this year. I've been in the SCA for 20 years now, and running for Baron because I like the Barony. I think it's a good Barony and needs to have some more fun and try to get some more people, and I've got some ideas how to do that. This is being my lady.
Hi, I'm Lady Gisela Volva Refnudottir. I have been in the SCA, introduced to it in 2005 out in California. Then I moved to Ohio in 2006, where I found Marche of Alderford, and that I consider my home Marche. I have moved around. I've actually lived in Medina, where we are right now, and unfortunately I never attended the meetings here. I have been a seneschal for the Shard Darenhill down in Middle Marches. In Alderford, I've held the titles, the offices of MOAS. I'm currently the Baronial Herald. I have several awards. I've done several offices as far as event steward, feastocrat, just a lot of stuff. My main focus is, I guess you would call me a hostess. I like to make sure that people are having fun, enjoying themselves, learning what they want to learn. I like to connect people with the people that can get them to where they want to be. If you have an interest in embroidery, I can find somebody. Calligraphy, I can find somebody. Illumination, I can find somebody. I volunteer at Penzic, and I just feel that Brendoken is a great home, and that we need to, like Lord Algar says, have some more fun. There's nothing wrong with the way it's going right now, but we just want to bring some fun to it.
Okay. Who among the populace has a question for our candidates?
Come on, anything.
hey,
Ask
Mike.
us. Yeah, come on.
You gotta have
Oh,
something.
that's scary.
Alderford heard peppered us. That's big time. We're ready for it.
Geographically, I'm a Cleftlander, but I filled out the out of Barony survey. I didn't see anywhere on that necessarily explained how it worked. If it's just like a suggestion and like somebody has a look at it, because like I like the way that it was individually ranked per person. So if, like I don't know both the Baron and Baroness, I can rank the Baron and say like I don't know the other person. But I was wondering how that that ranking is considered when it comes to selecting the Baron and Baroness.
I can answer that. The Baronial poll, whenever there's a change of barony, and it used to be we'd get these as a letter in the mail, and you write all your comments out and then send them back, and the royals would have to read it all, and then they make a choice. Basically, the poll is an opinion. Everybody sends in their opinion. If you are a member of the barony, your opinion might count a little more. It might not. It depends on the king and queen, because it's entirely the choice of the royals who gets to be baron and baroness. It has happened. It's very rare, but it has happened in the past that the populace voted for these people, and the king and queen picked those people. Nowadays, you don't even hear who voted for who or the numbers, because that's not fair. So everybody will vote. Your vote's just as valid as anyone else's, resident or not, especially because you're right here now. But that's how it works.
Excellent question. Thank you. Anybody else have one that they can think of right now?
I have one.
Yes.
I'm not part of this yet, but,
But you're here,
so,
We'd like to fix that.
yeah, so like me being new, how would you go about building out in Medina County what you guys have here and recruiting people into what you have, of all demographics and, things of that nature?
Go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead.
So, we have a fantastic seneschal, Christiana. I have noticed her post and everything and welcoming new members. Whatever she is doing, she is on fire. You're on fire. And, we need to support that as Baron and Baroness. We need to take a note from you. And, okay, I used to live in Medina. We used to do farmers market and all that. But you're going above and beyond. I'm not sure what you're doing, but you're working magic. And we need to take note of what you're doing, and we need to come up here, like I said, in full force. And you plan it, we'll attend it, and then as far as keeping our members and going out geographically, we can only go as far as our borders permit, but you are always welcome, even if you are from Cleflands or from Middle Marches or from anywhere else. You are always welcome at an SCA event. You don't have to live in this little nook. You want to hit a meeting because there's a fighter practice or an ANS something, cooking, and we love to cook, we love to feed. Bacon is our only need. So yeah, whatever Christiana is doing, also known as Holly, I would really like to know what magic you are working, because to see your memberships go up, the people that you keep posting about is awesome. And maybe we can spread that love to the other marches and say, hey, let's tap into, whatever, events that these cities have going on, because you are definitely connected to the town in which you live. And I think that's super important, that we need to tap into that, vital resource. So, did I answer your question?
I think so. One of the areas was about like diversity,
Yes.
and inclusion. I work in HR.
Okay,
so,
yeah, no, we are, yeah, everybody's welcome.
I'm an HR guy, so,
Yeah.
Everybody's welcome.
I look at the panel,
Yeah.
I don't see a whole lot.
So, okay, so
Like when I worked at a company, the executive team were all like, white males in blue shirts.
right.
So,
SCA is huge on inclusion. I myself am a mother of a disabled child. Okay, so one of the great things about SCA is we are so accepting. We don't care disability, race, gender, religion, whatever. If you have an interest in this hobby, come on down. We used to have a saying a long time ago, come to the dark side. You know,
We have panties.
you know, and we're all about fun. You know, we're the family that we didn't choose or pick, or we are the family we chose and picked. We're not the family that we were born with. You know, so it doesn't matter to us. You know, if you feel that, you know, there is some form of discrimination, let us know, please, because we do have rules against discrimination.
Yes.
Well, I'm not saying that, I'm just asking.
Oh, good. Basically, everyone is welcome in the SCA. There's always something for everybody. You can find something that you like to do. Many interests in the SCA. And if you're interested in something that no one else is, research it, and then people will come to you. Hey, what are you teaching? What do you got? We're interested in that.
Chai, go ahead.
I'd say one thing. I mean, it is very good to recruit. It's very good to have demos. And it's very good to say we're all inclusive. But if we don't get up and talk to each other, how do you know you want to hang out with these people? You come somewhere and you see a new face, you need to go talk to them and say,
I
hi,
walked in
how are
and
you?
no one came up to me. So.
We'll amend that.
I know,
after
she
this.
knows me. She invited me.
We
So.
were
You
kind
came
of, we
over
were
and
kind of close
talked
at
to
this
us.
point, but
It's hard for newcomers.
Yeah.
You know, here's a bunch of people, I don't know anybody. So when you see someone at the edge of a group, we say, you've got to go over and talk to them. And that's hard too for us because we all come to see our friends. Rentarian has huge meetings. There's a lot of people and a lot of fighting, a lot of stuff going on. But some of us make an effort to go over and talk to people we've never met before. And that is what makes the SCA inclusive.
I was just going to add to that a little bit of the talking and encouraging, teaching people how to fight or do rapier or other arts, metalsmithing, whatever you like. So on many levels, I'm of the opinion that to keep people, we need to get them interacted and doing stuff within our groups and our meetings, and so they can enjoy events on a bigger scale. As far as recruiting, I think Christiana's got some great ideas about doing some stuff down on the square and having some more open meetings. And you know, we got a bunch of guys in armor banging on shields, it attracts attention, and then we can go out and talk to people in the crowd. I think that's where some of our strengths lie. It is hard to talk to everybody at a meeting because, like you said, you get so much time and so many friends. It's hard to get all the way around the room sometimes. But as Baron and Baroness, we would make an effort to try to come to some of these meetings to help encourage more of the intergroup cross-pollination of ideas and people. So.
don't say pollination. There's a lot of people with allergies in the immediate area. So. But to answer both your questions, first of all, as far as recruiting goes, having been the Baronial Seneschal and knowing how heavy a lift it is. First of all, the fact the pandemic's over is going to be a huge boon to everybody. You have to have people step up though, and echoing what everyone else has said. And you've got a superstar for Seneschal, because for a long time, through no fault of their own, Thistle was bouncing literally from house to house of members in terms of what they have. The fact they actually have an actual meeting site now and are doing it on a weekly basis is tremendous. Keep in mind that this particular march is not only Medina County. In fact, it was actually founded down in Worcester. I've been seeing the access of this in my 15 years here of the Thistle moving from Worcester to Wadsworth to Medina. So I'd like to try and keep recruiting from that area. I'd also like to try and do something which has been happening a lot out in the last few years, which is to keep a lot of folks from the north side out of the march to come down and play with us instead of always running over to Cleflands. It's not that I wouldn't do that, but the fact that these two are now very much Hunter and Sable and not just not Cleflands, and where I know they had been how a lot of people had come through Cleflands. The fact that they're with us now, how I think is a good sign. As far as the diversity initiative goes, I would say that On the one hand, diversity, inclusion, and equality are issues that the Society for Creative Anachronisms and American Society are dealing with are grappling with right now. I would say that's going to be continuous grapple for reasons that have to do with both our society and society in general. What I will say is that if you want to take a barometer of what goes on there, I've had the privilege of getting to know more trans individuals within the society than any place else that I've ever been. So that should give you a good indication that it might not look it here. I can't help it, and I'm not Caucasian. I'm translucent, but the society in general and Brendoken in particular has always opened its doors very wide to the LGBTQ community and to different people of color as well.
So first off, welcome.
Yes.
I'm glad that you made this one of your first meetings to attend. This is not your normal, but you get to see a side of the SCA that only happens once every 5 years. I am glad to see this march grow. I really like that they're out there doing the square. I was hoping we'd be out there today, but this works as well. That is part of growing an area, is you have to be visible. And that visibility helps bring people in. But there's the next step, which is the retention. And part of that is getting you involved. Finding what you want to do, what your interests are, and directing you to the people that can do it, and that can teach you. If you want fighting, we'll get you fighting. If you want to do Scribble, we'll get you doing Scribble. If you're into various ANS stuff, we can make it happen. There is plenty to do in the SCA. We have plenty of other things going on, like there's Cook's Guild going on this weekend. I've been doing ANS stuff at my house, inviting people to that, and that gets everybody involved in the group. As you get involved, as you get introduced, as you get to know people, hopefully that encourages new people to stay. But there are many things that can chase people out, such as DEI issues. If someone is made to feel unwelcome because of their sexuality, their race, their gender, their background, their disabilities, they won't stay. DEI is actually something that I find to be very important. Accessibility for people with disabilities is important. Sometimes sites aren't ADA accessible. That's a problem. I had a family talk to me this weekend because they were asking about Mugmort, and they want to know what's the site. Is there a playground? Is there bathrooms? How's it set up? Is there shade? Is there chairs? That's important to them. They need to know what to do with their children. I've run into issues as a female fighter of how people treat me versus how they might treat a guy. I've seen issues with people of various races and discussions on appropriation versus appreciation and fallout from that. It's an important thing that we have to look at. Everyone comes from a different background. Everyone approaches this differently. And we really got to look at what those things are. So it's going to be a little bit of a case-by-case basis to figure it out. We are working. We do have a DEI office within the SCA. So there's a corporate, there's a kingdom. If there's an issue such as someone bullying someone who is trans, well, we have a way to deal with that, because that shouldn't be happening, because that's chasing numbers out. And that should never happen. No one should be bullied for these things. No one should be harassed for these things. The great thing about the SCA that I found as a member of the LGBTQ community is I can be who I am. Nobody is chasing me out in front of that. No one chases our members out. If there's an issue, we deal with it. So I am very happy to have found Brendoken as my home. There's plenty of other LGBTQ members I know of in the area. I wish we could broaden our horizons and bring in people of more demographics. It will be a process, and we have to show that we can deal with some of these issues, and it's going to take time.
The only time she likes to chase people out is when she's chasing them off the field. So
with a stick.
There isn't a whole lot more that I can say that already has not been said. I absolutely agree that the DEI office is a very, very important office within our society. including everyone is key. It doesn't matter, like what was mentioned, it doesn't matter sexual preference, religion preference. It doesn't matter. You are welcome. To coin a phrase, you're one of us. We welcome you. We want you here. We look forward to seeing you every week. And we try to spread that feeling so that when they leave and they go home, they're gonna be like, hey, you gotta come check out this group. I had so much fun. And they're welcoming. They don't judge. And that's what, that's the type of atmosphere that we want to exhibit, is that we don't judge, we welcome all.
Yeah, we help everyone find their fun, and everyone being everyone. And if I don't know anything about whatever particular interest they have, I will find something. I can tell people about armored fighting till I'm blue in the face. Someone asked me about cooking. I know very little, or nothing. But I know people that know a ton about period cooking. I will direct them in that direction. As far as knowing people, meeting people, I have actually fought people more times before I've known anything personally about them. I've become friends through fighting, and then learned about their personality and been happy to know more about them. And I've been going across the kingdom for years, and as everyone's talking about these different groups, it reminds me of the people that I've met, the different types of people that I've met, the different demographics that I've noticed, and people that I enjoy at least spending my time with, which is usually on the field.
Okay. Next question, Darkstone.
I just have a question. If you could change one thing in the SCA, what would that be and why?
Silver and Tyler.
Actually, we'll let somebody else start. That's a hard one, because there isn't a whole lot I would change. Let me think about it. I'm so thinking.
Yeah, that's a toughie.
I'll hop on it if nobody else, let everybody else back their brains like I got to.
Yeah.
And I know I have to be right with this. If not, Darkstone's going to shoot me, so it's as simple as that. Having been seneschal for the whole the pandemic, I know that there's been a lot of people, not necessarily early in the barony, but within the society, who have seen all the faults of what's gone down, and or felt unincluded, or harassed or bullied, or whatever the case may be. We've started the process of getting rid of the worst offenders of that. I know that it's a painful process. If I could change anything in society, I'd want it to become even more inclusive. I want to see people from non-traditional backgrounds, non-traditional areas, non-traditional things come here. I know people that say we've heard the word family a couple of times from a couple of different people up here. I know people have heard and have spoken to people where if it wasn't for the SCA, they're not here right now, and I mean that literally. And the only way we improve upon that is making certain that what all of us just said about inclusion and retention is even more so than what it is now. Now, whoever becomes Baron and Baroness has an amazingly tough act to follow in that regard. Our current Baron is awesome at the whole family building dynamics. He built his own Brady Bunch, for crying out loud. But I mean, that's something that I think that we do well here in Brendoken, and I want to continue on. But but asking about the society, that's probably the thing that I would want to change most, is to move us towards that how that level where everyone is feels like they're part of us.
I have an answer for you. I've been thinking about this. So everybody has something they want to change in whatever organization they're in. I don't like the bubble gum in the bathroom. I don't know, whatever. But what I want to do as Baroness and Baron is find out what you want changed and why, and you want changed and why. Because whatever you want, I'm here to be your voice. As Baron and Baroness, we are the gateway to the king and the queen and to the peers of the realm. And if you have something that you see as a big problem, you need to come to your Baron and Baroness, whoever they are, and say, here's what I'm seeing, what can we do about it? And then we either talk you down, go, no, you misinterpreted that, or here's what we can do. Because it's not what I see needs to be changed. It's not about my agenda. It's about the populace agenda and the Crown's agenda. We're just the doorway in between.
I think I got an answer. One thing I would like to change is a little bit of how we view the path to peerage. One of the big things we do is, if you're not doing this, then you shouldn't get that. And I see it on the fighting field, especially of, oh, you decide you want to go take this class instead of playing this tournament? Well, you must not really want to be a knight. Well, maybe I want to be a well-rounded individual that wants to enjoy other things. Maybe I want to spend a day in the kitchen getting things served. Maybe I want to spend a day doing classes. Maybe I want to go do rapier instead of armor today because I thought that tournament sounded more fun. I hate that there's almost a checklist. And there isn't supposed to be a checklist. But I hate that there sometimes feels like there's a checklist. You know, I gotta do this to become this or this to do that. I want people to have their fun. If you are really enjoying something and you are good at something and you drank from the well, yeah, you deserve to get there. But you shouldn't be, I guess, discriminated against because you chose to go do rapier for a day instead of armor. Or if you decide to fight instead of go serve. So that's kind of what I would like to change, is that I want people to have fun and people to enjoy what they're doing and not always feel like there's pressure to do the thing. Yeah, work to get better, work to do what you want to do, but don't stress.
Yes.
I'd like to answer a little bit of her question. I agree with what she said about, I think it's a groundswell thing. I don't have a particular agenda because as a leader in other formats, I've found that pushing an agenda down is difficult to next to impossible. So I would also encourage people to come up. And I would support what you say, although I would dispute. I have said in many chivalry circles, nobody's been picked on for taking a class. In fact, within our circles, we expect candidates to have arts and sciences and services, and those things would be promoted within our circle. So if you're feeling picked on, I'm sorry, okay, don't. So that would be my message, is we encourage well-rounded individuals to be members of our order. It's important that killers understand how to be real people, right? So that's why we have to have the whole picture. So this is what I would be talking about, is if I find an issue, to let people know it's okay, you're good. If you want to do rapier, from my perspective, as a knight and a bronze ring, I'm all over it. But as a member of the chivalry, never fear that your path will be diminished by doing something other than fighting. Being the specific topic that my belt is appropriate. I don't know about laurels, I'm assuming they're the same way. I know as a pelican, your service is great whether you're fighting or not. So.
Newest member of the Order of the Bronze Ring, by the way. Talking about how well-rounded individuals that else he lives that process. So.
Shona?
If I was able to change one thing in the society, I think it would have to be judgmentalism. The number of times I've seen or heard seasoned members of the SCA look at a newcomer and pick them apart because of their attempt. That's wrong. They tried the best they could with what they had to work with. And that's the important part. That they gave an honest effort and they tried. I wish that they could see what they're doing and what they're causing from somebody else's eyes and ears. And they would realize, hey, I am causing more damage than I am being helpful. Maybe to them, they're being helpful. They may think they're being helpful. But in reality, it's causing the new person to be uncomfortable. It's causing them to feel unwelcome. It's causing a lot of ill feelings that we don't want, that we don't need. That's my opinion. That's my wish.
One thing that's been drilling in the back of my head that's a little different is not so much of a change, but more of something. So I guess more of something is a change. More positivity. There's been a focus through COVID and through other issues on a lot of negative things. Whatever, be they local, semi-local, across the entire organization, that are very negative. They're very saddening, and I would want to see and hear more of the good things, the fun people are having. Like, I'm about the fun. I'm here to have fun. You're here to have fun. We're all here to have fun. Let's make that positive. Let's leave the drama of whatever's negative or whatever was said somewhere or whatever someone made up and gossiped about. Talk about, let's encourage, create, get more people to experience that fun that we are here for. That would be my change, my goal.
So we confer on a lot of stuff. So historically, it has always been a male-dominated hierarchy, and I'm just talking historically, not necessarily in the SCA. There have been a handful of female rulers, okay? When a female wins by right in arms, to me as a female, it is a huge thing because I've tried heavy, I've tried rapier, I've done all these things. I will never physically be able to be a knight. I am so scatterbrained I'll probably never be in a peerage. But what I think for us, we were talking and it's like, we would like to see the egg cracked to where people who cannot physically fight any longer, but who have got a historical background in the SCA, peerages, anything. I'd like to open it up to see if somebody that is not a fighter and heavy could become a king or a queen. This has been a topic that has gone around the SCA multiple times, and I know this, but it just seems to me that we have so many good and talented people in the SCA that for one reason or other cannot do heavy fighting. But let's say they can do rapier. Okay, well, maybe we need to change the tide and start looking at those people that have been doing rapier for years and have been great leaders in rapier, but can't do heavy fighting. Maybe they have just as many knightly virtues as a heavy fighter does. You know, maybe the person that has been a peer, and I'm going to use you as an example, sorry. I don't know if you've ever heavy fought or not.
Yeah, I have.
But
he was my first fighting teacher. That's how I met him.
Perfect. But if you never got knighted Crown Tournament, we don't know your chances. We don't know what could have been. And I think for me, I would like to change that opportunity list to include people that may hold peerages, may be great in rapier or something. I think it would open it up to quite a few more females to become leaders, to become somebody that the younger people look up to. And for me, it's just, on a personal note, it's like 30 years ago, yeah, I might have had a chance, but now I'll never have a chance. But
Can I answer that?
Yeah.
Because here's the thing, and I hear where you're coming from. A lot of people have said, oh, not just fighters should be king. There are so many more things you can be. You could be queen if he wins the crown. You could be
that's
Baroness.
The point being, someone could fight in crown for you.
And it's not, we have, the SCA comes from a backyard party in Marion Zimmer Bradley's backyard in California a gazillion years ago. And they picked up wooden swords and played at being knights. And they were having a King Arthur moment. So it's a nostalgia thing.
right.
And historically, if we're looking at Middle Ages, yes, mostly women were not rulers. But we've had pairs of Baroness and Baroness. In fact, we've got another set now, I believe, Baroness, and we've got Baron and Baron.
Shadow Star.
And I can't tell you how many members of Curia have been female over the years, but it's more than the men. Because women like to organize and clean up the messes. And the Curia has way more power than the King and Queen. The King and Queen hand out awards. That's what they do. They don't make big judgments. They don't change the SCA. The Curia is the one with the power. And as Kingdom Chatelaine, you've been on the Curia.
Yes, I have. I just recently stepped down from the Office of Curia.
Can you explain what that office does and what it is?
Absolutely. The Office of Curia consists of your Kingdom Earl Marshal, Kingdom Chatelaine, Kingdom Minister of Arts and Sciences. It's basically the kingdom level of all the offices that we all hold. We have 2 meetings per reign. We discuss any issues, any type of changes to the kingdom law. We discuss, you know, the any bids for crown tournament, coronation, anything like that. Because the crown.
Another thing I'd like to see change, it seems like the head of the SCA out in California, it's always the same group of people. They just change offices all the time. It's not, it seems like they don't let anybody else from the outside.
There's a lot of people that are in and out. It's a bunch of different people.
Yes.
always.
And the board of directors
The board of directors
is constantly changing.
changing.
And
You could put your name in to
you
be on
need
the board of
nominated.
directors.
Yeah, it just seems to me I kept seeing the same names rotating all the time in different positions.
And one of the things about SCA National, the organization, actually international, the SCA as an organization has the same as the kingdom, 2 levels. There is the Society Seneschal and all the officers and the board of directors, and they are doing the same things the Curia is doing here. They're not handing out awards. They're not making judgments. They are taking on a case-by-case basis. I know this because I have a couple of household members who have not only been on the board, but have been the president of the society and the Society Seneschal. And we've talked about it with them. I had a big issue once and I wanted to know, why did this happen? And I went to one of my household brothers and said, hey, and he said, well, I can't tell you, but I'm on the board and I'm telling you, this is what was supposed to happen. There are a lot of closed door meetings. What I would like to see, if anything, is a little more sunshine and the minutes of the board be published, not just the open minutes, but the closed minutes. But I also know, because we are the SCA and because we are a bunch of geeks, 70 million people will jump on it and complain. So I understand why they want to keep some things behind closed doors. Every company does. At the same time, I trust there's enough people in the queue who are knowing what's going on, that they all can't be idiots. They all can't be bad. So there are good decisions being made. Sometimes they whoops. They're people too. But you, any one of you, doesn't matter how long you've been in the SCA, can put your name in to be on the board of directors. You want real power, that's where it is.
Let me say
too.
Yeah.
Let me just add to that. Keep in mind on when you're talking of our this organization, Kingdom organization, society organization, etc., etc. Keep in mind two things always. First of all, this is a human organization. You know how many humans have perfect reigns? Maybe one in the history of the world. And two, speaking, taking this off and putting my date hat on as a journalist, transparency and openness are always going to be better things, no matter how hard it is to do that. And part of the reason why I'm running for this is because I want to keep that openness. But there also is the fact that that no matter which one of these individuals gets to wear the coronet that's come this fall, I'd be happy to serve under any of them. So I'm very happy this is not going to be a closed-end vote. Maybe Algar after he mows the grass, but that's about it.
Any other populist questions? We've got about 10 minutes left. Yes.
We've been talking about recruitment and retainment. I'm curious, having discussed this with a number of folks who've been around 42 years, 32 years, God knows how many years, what I'm starting to see and starting to hear is we're losing people at the top end. Folks are aging out of the SCA. I'd just like to hear your thoughts on what can we do to try and retain our older folks who've been around a while, have experience, and perhaps recruit older folks as well. But what can we do perhaps to make the SCA, to make Brendoken attractive and accessible to the, say, 75 and up set?
To add to that, though, how do we find the people who are younger so that when the older generation does die out, that the SCA doesn't die out?
I'll take a stab at this. Do you want the top end or the bottom end first?
Do the top end, but I think it's a good question on both ends, right?
Correct, because I mean, obviously, particularly with fighting with some aspects, a lot of meat of the society is going to be for the 18 to 50 range. But no, people. I'd love to see people the older set come with us, and if we don't have the younger set coming with us, we don't have a society. So it's a very good thing on both ends. As far as the older set goes, part of it is what was mentioned about disability availability. That's something which we have to be able to do that, because the bottom line is when you're dealing with that set, there's going to be a lot of people that need to have are going to have particularly mobility issues. There's going to be a lot of people that might need translators. There might be some people that need to have nonverbal heralds, which we do have in society. Yeah. So. We need that to me comes into part of the diversity and inclusion thing. I think being ADA compliant in as many, I know that may not be possible in every single one of our events, but certainly our meetings and certainly as many events as possible is a big thing for that. The other, to flip to the other half of the equation. Well, first of all, we have good parents, by the way, because we're getting to the point now in society where we've got grandkids coming up with the original members. I think these two who right here can talk about what it's like to have a family with 3 generations and some people in society. So obviously, if you bring your kids, we love to have them. It was one thing. The other thing is something that we in this barony could do a little bit better job in, as opposed to Red Spears and Turnowid, is that college campuses are fertile, should be fertile ground. Cleveland's, for those of you who don't know, basically he's based out of Case Western Reserve University, or was for the part of its years. Thistle actually got its start at the College of Worcester. We should try to go back to there. Obviously, Akron and Kent enter huge grounds about that. When one of these years, I want to, as far as a recruitment thing, I want to plop down on a demo like in the opening weekend, and when the kids are coming in, and when they're running around, they'll see you banging on your shields, and they'll go, "Wow, that looks awesome." So we definitely need to start hitting the colleges is a bit more. Like I said, COW is where where Thistle started. So that's those and some of the high schools is obvious. I mean, does Willis ever show up in guard or anything like that? Well, maybe he should going forward.
He did it Halloween, yes.
Cool.
All right, so I'm going to start at the other end of things because I found the SCA when I was 18. I was coming out of high school and found this before going into college. What I've noticed as someone who has basically spent their college years in the SCA, there was a long time period where the people I hung out with were 40s and 50s. I noticed about 5 or so years ago that when I started looking around, there were people my age. So if we're not recruiting out of the colleges, you're eventually going to start getting people in their late 20s to early 30s, because now that they've gotten out of college, they've gotten families started, they now have money to do the thing. That's not to say we shouldn't be pulling from colleges. College of St. Brutus down in Columbus on the OSU campus is doing a brilliant job. The thing to be aware of with college campuses is you are going to be cycling out every 4 years. Mm-hmm. That's not a problem unless you make it a problem. Be aware they may be going somewhere else. They may be going somewhere else in Ohio. They may go somewhere else across the country. But that's a place to start. And it's doing things like student involvement. Sometimes you can connect with a group that does Middle Ages out of the history. Sometimes we could maybe get away to hold classes. We can also connect with other groups such as Dagger here, some of the phone fighting that does have younger members, and try to draw them in. So it's about giving them a good base and making them full Scadians, whole Scadians, and giving them the best and brightest of the SCA, building them up, realizing we may lose them, they may stay, but hopefully they become members of the SCA that keep moving things along. And also drawing up the younger crowd and realizing that, yeah, they've made mistakes when they were younger. As they get older, they need more responsibility and more drawn in as well, and not just treated like they're the 5-year-old that you knew when you first started.
Yeah, I was 17 till I was 35.
Yeah, I still feel like people think I'm 18. I'm in my 30s now. On the flip side of things, the older population, drawing them in, keeping them in. I think there's a point in all of our SCA careers when we go from being the new kid, to having some experience, to having enough experience that we need to then start teaching it. Suddenly you become the mentor in the group. And it doesn't mean you have to be a peer to do it. Nobody has to be a peer to teach. You can always, step up and do things and draw people in. You may not always be on the fighter field, that's fine. We have a lot of older members that are dropping out from that and then taking up positions such as marshals and officer positions so that they're doing this work and helping others grow. As far as getting older members in, I'd love to see us do things that aren't always demos at your normal demos trying to draw on your kids, your teens, your adults my age. It may be we go to stuff like craft stores and we teach a class. Some of the things we do, some of these people have never seen. Or opening stuff up like you do the pottery. Drawing people in saying, hey, if you want to learn more about this, we have an organization that does it. The retired people that have the time and the money to go do things, we need them as well, and they can make the organization run. So it's going out to other places and not just focusing on our normal fairs, trying to get the families involved. It is doing stuff like the different clubs or parades. Find the little niches that people might have free time for that you didn't have when you were in your 30s. And a lot of times it's going to be the arts and sciences. So try to draw people in from there is kind of my thought on it. So
Go ahead, guys.
I think in regards to the older generation, they feel, just from overhearing conversations, they feel unwanted, unneeded, that they don't have anything to offer. But that's quite the opposite. They have a lot to offer. They have a wealth of knowledge. We need to be more compassionate and understanding to our older generation, because they are what we looked up to when we started. We're going to be in that same position a few years down the road for some of us, longer for others. And we need to understand that they still want to feel included. They still want to feel needed. How to go about doing that, I'm not sure. But that's definitely something that, if chosen, I would definitely look into, because I love to listen to stories from the older generation of how Penzix and how the SCA used to be. That's how you learn, by listening to their stories. As far as the younger generation goes, I think that, yes, demos have always been good. I don't feel that they're as lucrative as they used to be. Personally, I think Comic-Cons are the next venue to try and garner a membership, because you have people that are interested in sewing, you have people that are interested in weapons, and all the different aspects of what we do, they do at a different level. So let's draw them in. Let's draw them in and show them, hey, if you like doing this, you can do the same thing here, only at a different level. So that's my thoughts.
Reynolds, do you have anything to add?
Not a whole lot, because that's a lot of information. Just going back to what I said earlier, is helping people find their fun. It's regardless of age. If they're 6 or 60, helping them find their fun or a new fun. Maybe they moved on from heavy fighting and want to do some type of arts and science, weaving, embroidery. Encouraging our current members, our current populace, to reach out to others to say, these are other things you can do. Or if they're in other groups, other social groups, they have other activities, because I know some people have a lot more time than I do. Spread that word and connect those dots between people of, maybe you might not know anything about armored fighting, but someone's child likes that concept of knights in shining armor, and we have a youth program for that. And then we can get people in the populace to be trained to work with the youth, and again, have people find their fun.
Just to add one more thing, and based on all this, one thing that I'm happy about with this barony is that as cool as heavy as armored fighting is, it's not the end. In this barony, it has not been, and it has never been, the end all be all of this barony. We've got a lot of diversity here. So if you happen to have a need that goes out on you, that you're able to do a bunch of other things.
We seem to have a fondness for projectiles.
No Darkstone.
Yeah, I think to keep the older people that we have, there's a lot of people that's been around a very long time, like Ian Gordon from Wintarian. he's not able to do much anymore, but his knowledge and things he could teach. You could go to him, try to provide him with, hey, how would you like to do, we're gonna start a new position for like historian of Gwentarian or something to talk about, to teach others. And if you see some of the older members, well, he was here a couple times, he hasn't been here for a month, and he came back again. Try to keep him from floating away is create a position for him like, hey, what's the thing that you really like the most about the SCA? You think you could teach other people what you like, you know? You try to keep them interested and keep coming back. If you give somebody something to do, then they feel like they have to come back all the time. You know, and then as far as the youth people, I was fortunate enough to get invited last night to a camp, a children's camp, to do a demo. And that was a lot of fun. There was a lot of them young adults who was really interested in what we was doing, and they was talking to Duchess Runa. She had her crossbow, you know, doing the combat archery. But there's also archery. Some of these children were like 16, 17 years old, going to be 18 pretty soon. If we could get them interested in something that we're doing here, that could maybe bring some more membership in. Just try to find ways to get ourselves out there. Like if we look around and see, let's say somebody's having, I don't know, like people put on events of all kinds of different things. Go up and say, hey, you know, we're with the SCA. We're a medieval reenacting group. I know what you got going on over here is a car show, but how about if we come over here and do a little demo, because maybe somebody might be interested in what we're doing for the car show. I just use the car show as an example of something. You get my gist. People do different things around. You know, maybe we can show up and get some people interested that way.
My granddaughter is 12, and along with the Faye, she helped me at Road 2 event on the lunch counter. Now, getting her involved in more than just the lunch counter is difficult, because to get the youth programs going, we have to have a youth person in charge. They have to be warranted, background checked, and everything. I think that is a great starting point, that we have somebody to do youth marshaling, you know, and if they can't afford, or if your Marche or Barony can't afford to have a boffer or something like that, we need to have something available for people with young kids, so that the kids can be doing something while mom and dad, or dad and dad, or whoever is doing things. And we need to feel secure that those kids are safe, and that they're having fun, and that they're gonna come home and tell all their friends, oh my God, I went and, you know, beat somebody with a stick, you know, or hey, I shot arrows, or, you know, oh my gosh, I ate the weirdest food, I'm never gonna eat it again, it was gross, you know? And that's, word of mouth, I think, is one of the best ways, because kids are like fire. You know, if you get a kid interested, they're gonna tell their friends, and they're gonna tell 2 friends, but we have to have something available for those kids to do.
Chainmail is good for that too. Give them
yeah, just doing things.
Here, bend these rings together. Keep adding more rings.
Yeah, kids like to do dangerous things, you know, whether it's beating on people, you know, wrapping wire around a steel rod, or, you know, beating on a piece of iron, you know, just even if they're pretending that they're doing blacksmithing stuff, that's great. You know, as far as the older people, I'm in a household with 38 peers. Some of those peers were at like Penzic 2. And like you said, the stories are a great example of SCA history. We have one person in our Marche, Baroness Catriona, who we would love to be able to sit down and videotape all of her classes that she's ever taught. Because if not, they're going to be lost to time. So I think we need to, you know, if these people can no longer physically make it to a meeting, maybe we should say, would you be interested in doing a Zoom class, or, you know, come to us via Zoom, be a part of our meeting. You know, we need to keep our inbound people, our infirmed, our disabled people involved.
Well, Grandma, got any ideas?
I'm sitting here listening to all this talk about old people, and I go, I'm one of those old people.
Me too, because he put the 50 line down, and I'm like sitting here fasting. Dude, I'm there. That's it.
My children were raised in the SCA. I have 4 children. I have 7 grandchildren. Unfortunately, they're all over the world. Some of them are in Australia, some in Arizona. The 3 that are here in this area, in Talmadge, do go to Penzic. In fact, they didn't go during the year of COVID, and my grandson had a hissy fit.
Oh, he
What?
was pissed.
You mean we didn't go to Penzic? Why didn't we go to Penzic? Because they didn't have one, honey. You know? And they'll go to Penzic again. Do they come to meetings? No, our meetings are too late for their bedtime. And that's not my daughter saying that. That's the kids. Mom, we want to go to bed at 9 o'clock. Sorry. So it's most of the young people we've gotten in the SCA have come up through the families. We have 3rd and 4th generations in the SCA now. As for old people, some of us are getting infirm. I took 2 years pretty much off because I had heart surgery. He's been out of it for his knee surgery. He'll be back with in a flash, but and he'll be dangerous. But we're dyed-in-the-wool Scadians. How do you keep old people? You can't keep them against their will. Ian Gordon doesn't come because he's physically not able. Giving him a job would just make it worse, and he would say, no, thank you. And that's how most older people are. And Ian's younger than I am. Case-by-case basis. And we say this a lot, but everything needs to be approached on a case-by-case basis. Is there an elder person that you haven't seen in a while? There's a couple of Gwintarian members, Emma Dutton of Withersby, and there's Demelza. I give them a call now and again and say, hey, what are you doing? Are you gonna come back to a meeting anytime soon? No, but they go out for coffee. So I'll take them for coffee. And if we have a need of them, Stan Hewitt had a beautiful weaving display. I don't know how many of you went to Ohio Mart, but Stan Hewitt had a beautiful weaving and needlework display by the Gwintarian weavers. I didn't even know it was happening till I saw it at the event. They did a brilliant job. And there are a lot of little old ladies who want to just sit at home and do fiber arts. Will they come to meetings? Probably not. And we can't make them. They may go to Penzic. Penzic is the draw for everybody. I know some of them who go out and get a hotel room and just day trip into Penzic. But from here, it's not even that hard. We can't fit one model for everybody, is what I'm saying. We can't decide to give old people jobs or hit them up for classes. We have to look at each case individually. You're getting old. What do you like to do? Can we help you? Do you need a ride to the meeting? That happens with a lot of young people. While I was still teaching on Akron campus, we used to ferry a lot of college students to the meetings. I've retired. I'm not going back and getting more kids. They got to find their own way. I would like to address something too that we talked about. Well, we should be on Akron and Kent's campus. We started on Kent's campus in Gwintarian.
Yes.
That was our first meeting place. And it was started by a bunch of Kent State students. And at some point, the university looked at us and said, oh, you got 60 people coming to this meeting. We want money. You have more non-students than students. Once they cross that 50% line, they want you to pay for the rooms. And when we were young groups, we couldn't afford it. So we started working with the park system, and that led us to where we are today. We have a lovely meeting place, and it's a brilliant idea, and but yeah, it isn't everybody can't see it. We could put flyers on college campuses though. Akron U has never been amenable to a group meeting on campus. I know I offered to be the campus contact while I was teaching there, and they did not want us on campus. You got what, knives? No. Swords? No. Can't. There's wouldn't. No, it doesn't matter.
You hit people? Hell no!
The Akron Police Department, campus police department, just lost their collective nut. And so, no, we could not meet on campus. We couldn't even hold a demo at a Comic-Con that was there. They had a Comic-Con in the student union, and we couldn't hold a demo. There were problems with that. We did it one year, and the next year they said, don't come back. But there are other places, and I would say, put up flyers. We used to have a flyer that had a picture of one of our fighters, Andrew Murdoch, in his big old helm. And it said, why is this man smiling? Which is kind of funny because you can't see his face. And then you open it up and it talked about the group and all the things we have to offer. And we got members that way. I think we need to do flyers again. There's a lot of things we can do. We can each individually reach out to someone. And that's all that it would take, and we'd double our people here.
Anything to add to that, Silver?
I was just going to underscore what she finished with, and that is, and this goes to both ends of the spectrum. I think we as Baron and Baroness would be in a position to encourage all of our members to talk to everybody. This goes back to the first guy's question, is if everybody talks more and make sure that they take that moment and see that new face and help the Shatterlanes do their job, that I think the older of us, you know, I'm pretty in the middle of things. I'm a jump in the middle of it, get my boots sturdy kind of guy. But, you know, take a minute and talk to Ian. At the last potluck, you know, I stood and had a nice little chat with him by the door. It wasn't a long chat, but if everybody in the room spent 5 minutes with him, he'd be out of breath and exhausted by the end of the evening. And I think that'd be great. I know that there are some limitations. My mom's over 80 years old. She can't come to meetings anymore. It's physically impossible. But she still talks to a lot of SCA members and
she follows all of us on Facebook.
Oh, so, and if anybody travels out and they bring her back a rock, she just loves it. You know, rocks from England or wherever. So she still participates. It's just a little bit more distant, and that's okay. That's a thing. I think again, if we're looking at our ADA stuff and we can try to make efforts, that's great. But there isn't really one panacea for demos or any of that other stuff, except take a minute of your time. Encourage each other, encourage the populace to take a minute and talk to somebody. Because that 5 minutes can mean more than demos and all kinds of other crazy stuff. And it's kind of a really cool thing.
Okay. That is all the time we've got. Any questions, you can either submit to Vlad through email to Brendoken Seneschal, brendoken.seneschal@midrealm.org, or you can just send him a message on Facebook, or the Gwentarian meeting that is this Thursday in 2 days.
We also are going to be been lucky enough to how the Three Towers is going to be with us. I know that a lot of people probably won't go down there, but we're going to be at Three Towers next Tuesday as well.
And the Gwentarian meeting. The Gwentarian meeting, the questioning starts at 8 o'clock? 8:30. And the Three Towers, the questioning is set for
I believe it's at 6:30 because it's going to travel for all over for most of us.
Well, I think it's everybody's showing up at 6:30. It'll probably be like this one where we're
Around
7-ish. Yeah, it's not going to be a hard on the button start.
I see it's on.
We also all have our emails and our, you can contact each and every one of us. If something we said tonight sparked something in you, get a hold of us and let's talk.
Okay, thank you panelists. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.